Hello again, everybody. I'm Henry T. We're starting to meet every week now. Man, I'm feeling great, and you're feeling great, and you're looking great, and I'm feeling and looking better. So, man, we got through all this rough period of time. COVID's behind us, and good life and good health are in front of us. And now prosperity and all those dreams are about to come true. Man, life is getting better and better. I am so happy to be here today with you. The Lobos are still doing great. Man, big record, 19-3. In fact, they played tonight, and man, they're the talk of the town. Tickets are hard to come by, so you better get on that every day to make sure if you want to see a Lobo game, that you're knocking on that door, you're online early, and you've got your tickets, because it's the hottest show in the state of New Mexico. Man, I'm good to be here today, because today we have a fired up guest. And I mean, this guy's pumped all the time. He's an entrepreneur. He specializes in real estate. He's a former great athlete and former owner of the Gladiators. I mean, he's involved in so many things. I've known him for a long time. So have you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our longtime friend, John Lopez, to the Henry T. Show. John, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, what time it is. It's good to see you. How are you?
Mr. Henry T. Oh my goodness, this is so awesome and such a privilege. Every time I get to come on one of your shows, it has been my highlight of the week. Looking forward to coming here, seeing you face to face over Zoom, and excited about us hanging out and talking like the good old days, boss. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You've been so successful in your real estate ventures. Man, there you are. I saw you one day out at the Santa Ana Arena. You're the owner of the Gladiators, and you're just everywhere. And it's like you're one of those people that anything you touch turns to gold. And the other thing I know about you, you've got to wake up pretty early in the morning to beat you at anything. How accurate is all of that?
Well, I love you, man, because you make me sound pretty darn important, and I love to hear it. So you're right, though. I mean, I'm up every day at 4:45. You start your day doing your affirmations and gratitudes. Get yourself your cup of coffee. Get to the gym by 5:30. Back home by 6:30. Start waking up kids, getting them ready to have them at school by 7:30. Then we get to work by 8:30. And then your day starts, So while the rest of the world's yawning and stretching, I've already done more than most people do all day. So you're pretty accurate with that, sir. I do start pretty early in the morning.
Amen. How many children?
I got six beautiful little pain in the you-know-what kids, and I'm loving every moment of it.
Wow. 8 children.
Six. Don't
Wow,
give me two extra.
Well, you're still young enough. There might be 8. Who knows? But you're quite the organizer. You have this goal that we may see, we may not see, but you see it every day when you wake up. What do you see as to what you can accomplish? How do you plan your day?
That's a great question. I think at a very young age, I grew up watching my parents work every day, no matter what. I've been asked this question, how did you become so structured? And I kind of get a little embarrassed because I don't feel I'm as structured as I should be. But I think the short answer to that big question is I just do it every day, and I do it a full day, and then I come home. And if you do it consistently, then progress happens and success follows. And that's kind of what I've really done. I get up every morning, like I said, and I go to work, and there's not really any days off in what I do. And I may be doing my work from a yacht out in, St. Thomas Islands, or I may be doing it from, the slopes up in the mountain, because I have to balance my life. I have to have enough time to work on my mind, on my body, and my soul. And if you can
Wow.
balance your life that way, I think you'll have most successes in every aspect of life, not only economically and in your professional world, but physically and spiritually and with your family. And that's really the true success that I'm so proud of, is being able to achieve that balance in this beautiful life.
John, who inspired you way back when you were little John and you saw some image in front of you, some people, and every day they would motivate you, they would touch your life, inspiration, motivation, love. Who were those key people in your life?
I was a guest speaker at a 0 to 1 million conference at the convention center this weekend, and part of my presentation talked about the 4 people that really made the largest impact as a young man and as a child to kind of formulate who you know today. The first one, literally, the first 2 really were my parents. They worked hard every day consistently. My dad was a janitor at my elementary school. My mom was a secretary. And I don't ever remember them taking a day off. I remember them sick, but still going to work. I remember them coming home. I remember them making dinner. And so that trained my mind for consistency and daily activities towards your goals. So that was the first 2 that I think laid the first foundation. Then when I got into right around my teenage years, there was 2 more that really helped formulate the man that you know, my cousin Gene. Now, if you remember high school football back in the 80s, if you ever called any games at the Santa Fe Demons and Blue Thunder, if you remember that, there was really 3 guys that were the core to Blue Thunder: Martin Guillen, if you remember that name, and Gene Salazar. Now, Gene Salazar, he was my hero growing up. And so when I was in 8th grade, he's lived with us for a while because he had some challenges, but he was a senior and he was, captain of the football team, All-American running back and middle linebacker. He was prom king. Every girl wanted to date him. Every man wanted to be him. He was the man in high school, and I looked up to him. But what I saw was this huge heart and this big personality. He would talk to everybody. He was so kind. He was just outgoing. And I remember that impacted me because I was like, everybody liked him. So I think a lot of my personality, that personality you see when you made the comment of me working a room and talking to everybody and smiling, I think a lot of that came from him, that personal side. And we've been lucky enough, he's actually worked for me for 15 years in my construction companies. One of my superintendents that helps me build some of the most amazing homes in town. And my 4th huge inspiration was my best friend's mother. Him and I grew up together, and her name was Blanca Jimenez, Custom Draperies out of Santa Fe. And she was an immigrant from Colombia. She came here with 5 kids, a single mom. And then she had a brief getting back with her husband, and boom, my best friend was born. And he was the only one born in America. And we grew up together. But when we'd be at his house, his mom was the hardest worker I'd ever seen. I'd wake up in the morning, she's working. We go to bed at night, she's working. And one day we went to this office, me and John and her, and this man in a cherry wood desk and a suit and tie told her, "Do you want the boys to wait outside?" And in her very strong Spanish accent, she goes, "No, amiguitos, they can listen to everything that goes on in here. I want them to see what's happening." I had no idea where we were, but we sat down quietly. And by the time the meeting was over, I realized this guy was some kind of banker, and she was refinancing this house and paying off these 4 houses and then purchasing this house. All this real estate movement was going on. I must have been 12 or 13, but that stuck in my head. And she was self-made. She is self-made, and she's just a pretty amazing lady. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I love that. That was just an eye opener that I could do more than go get the job. So when I get asked that question, the foundation of why I'm where I'm at, who I am, both personally and professionally, those four people are the first four that pop into my mind that really help mold this guy that you see all the time running around talking to everybody, Henry T.
Wow. I would bet your life with your parents was meaningful. It was fun. They loved you with hugs and a little tough love when you needed it too, face to face tough love, discipline, because you're so well rounded. You express a great deal of concern and love for the people in your immediate presence. Your friendliness it really overwhelms people, but at the same time, there's there's a plan, there's a purpose. Yeah, you're greeting and shaking hands, but at the same time, when all of that kindness flips and you're sitting at a desk, then you go to work and you've got that conceptual skill. You see the big picture. Tell me about that, because you just gave me a synopsis of your friends and what they do and this lady. You see it, you understand it. I would fall apart in your world because there's so much to see, so much to do, so much to organize. How do you do that?
You know, I've always thought of myself as a master delegator, and I really have been blessed with the ability to be able to pass off certain duties to qualified people. I get to meet a lot of professionals, in the business that I'm in, and I find a lot of the high strung, stressed out, hardworking people out there have a tendency to want to micromanage, and they have this OCD and everything they have to do it and they have to control it. They do all this. And if that's what they've got to do, they've got to do. But I've really been able to see where I'm different in many ways. And one of the biggest ways is the ability to pass it on, to be able to hire somebody, to be able to see their character, to build a relationship, to feel their positive energy, to see their work ethic, to vet them properly, and then sit back and say, here, do what you can with this. Next, do what you can with this. And having that ability to be a master delegator, if you will, has really given me the opportunity to expand. I don't, just do listing houses. I don't just do selling houses. Matter of fact, I don't do much selling because I've felt like our industry has been reinvented to being more of a consultation type of industry. And if we need to sell the property or your home, or we need to go find one for an extensive, extend your real estate portfolio or your investments, then I'm happy to be able to do all that. But before we even get down there, there's a lot of consulting and training and educating, learning about the past, the present, the future, so that way you can make the right decision. So the job has evolved to more of a consulting job versus a sales job. And I can do that correctly because all the busy work I've been able to delegate to other people. And that goes along with the ability to build houses. I have people like Gene that I told you about that I've looked up to my whole life and has worked for me for 15 years. And I can delegate a lot of those responsibilities. Gene, here's the house I designed with the clients here. Set it out to bid. Make sure and go get these schematics and drawings done. He goes off on his way. As we get a property under contract, I send it to my transaction manager. She takes care of it, her and her team on that side. I own the MVD where people come in and get their registrations for their cars, get all their things that need to be done to make sure they're legal on the road as per the state of New Mexico. And my mom has actually worked for me running that business for 20 years, and my stepdad. So I pass it on to them, and then they take care of it and they run the office. And then my investment company, all the investments and houses and commercial buildings that I own, I send that out to Maddox Management because they manage it. So at the end of the day, I get to spend the most time with two things. One, my kids, and two, making sure that I can take care of my mind, my body, and my soul. and it just seems to work. And it's very logical. It's very easy, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful life God's given me, and I'm so appreciative
Wow.
for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, to have the gift of being an organizer and being able to manage time, your own time, is something he does better than anybody I know. Maybe he's writing a book and he'll share his secrets with all of us because his strengths seem to be my weaknesses all of the time. I've got to hang out with John more, and that way I'll be more productive and more prosperous as well. But he's
Mm-hmm.
got the plan and he's everywhere. And I'm sure he can help you with something. What's your message to our public right now, John, as to your services that you render? How do you involve them if they need you in some capacity?
I always have an open door policy, Henry, and it's not limited to just helping people with real estate. You'd be amazed how I built some of the greatest relationships with people just having an open door policy, talking to everybody, no judgment, appreciation. Everything every day is a God given gift. And because I appreciate that, I want to maximize that. So, when I go, and for 20 years, I've been going to coffee, and I go to Starbucks in the morning to start my day. I've been doing that literally for 20 years. Real estate talks about the guy who built a real estate company based on going to Starbucks for 20 years. It's kind of comical, but it's a great time to get your coffee after I drop off the kids, get your mind clear, be social, meet people who come in and out of there because you get regulars, set your day up, and then before you know it, you start building this relationship with the regulars. You start sitting down, you start talking. And one of my latest success stories, his name's Ernie. Okay. Now, this young man was a professor at UNM for 25 years in the anatomy and physiology area. Very brilliant man. And last year, he kind of stumbled into Starbucks, been retired for 20 years, sat down, and you would have never believed this guy's 82 years old. He looks like he's not a day over 59 and a half. This guy walks to Starbucks. He looks healthy and strong. He's so smart. And so, it starts off with the first day he comes in, you're a guy, I'm a guy, you do the guy nod, good morning, and then the next day, it's, how you doing today? And then the third day, well, I'm John. What's your name? Ernie. So within a few weeks, we become pretty good friends because he's there every day and I'm there every day. We start building this relationship. Well, before you know it, 6 months into it, he's like, well, I've got a house to sell. So why don't you help me out? And I'm like, well, of course. Let's first talk to see if you do need to sell it. Maybe we can turn it into a rental property so we can create some, mailbox money for you. Now that you're retired, you could appreciate this extra $2,000 a month. Or if we do sell it, we have to have a plan with that money since you haven't paid off because you don't want it to waste it or you don't want it. And so this is part of the consultation process that we go through. So when it was all said and done, we decided to sell it. We put it on the market, got it sold. You build that closer relationship. So then he's not married. His kids are full grown, very successful. So I'm like, so now with the money, you know what you're going to do? And he goes, what? He goes, I tell him, you're going to go out and you're going to buy yourself a sports car. And he laughs and he shakes his head. He goes, no, that's not me. And I'm like, Ernie, I have never seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul, and I own a funeral home. So yes, you're going to go out there and buy yourself a sports car. As a professor at UNM, he made fair money, but he's always conservative and he's always money conscious and budgeted and just very, very structured life. And that's great. But he needed to let loose a little bit. And so it took some conversations. And sure enough, what did he end up doing? He went and bought himself this most beautiful BMW sports car. I was trying to get him to go to the next level, maybe a nice Maserati or Tesla or even a CA, but the BMW M5 was beautiful. So now he's loving this car. He's starting to enjoy some life. He has some funds that he has never had before. And then all of a sudden, I told him last week, well, one of my business partners, Will Ferguson, we talk about him. he has this private yacht that he takes me on every year, 100-foot yacht that he keeps out there. Last year we were in the Bahamas at the Atlantis. This year we're going to St. Thomas, and we're going to go through the British Islands. And I said, hey, Ernie, why don't you pack your bags? He goes, what do you mean? I go, I'm going to take you with me. He goes, where? And I said, we're going to go on a private yacht for a couple of weeks, and we'll go first class all the way. And the funny part about the story was he just stumbled into Starbucks one day a year ago. And in the last year, he's experiencing life at a whole nother level that he had in 82 years of living, he's never been a part of. And that comes from just wanting to see people smile and open their eyes to how beautiful this life is. And I started realizing some about myself through this. You know what? If you just really go out with the intentions of helping people and helping them enjoy the day, even if it's as simple as a smile or life changing, like what we've done with Ernie, you get a good return of energy from people, and they appreciate that. And they start really, really gravitating to you in a way that you're just trying to do what you're supposed to do. And it really makes a difference, Henry. So, that's just kind of how I live my life. And that's kind of where we are today, just trying to help people. And it really does make a difference.
Wow, what a great story. I would love to meet Ernie someday. And
we'll definitely bring him on the show.
Yeah, let's interview him.
He's never been on the show. He would freak out if he was on the show with Henry T. I'm going to tell him about it in the morning.
Put him on the show.
I like that. He'll make you look like a young man because he's 83 now.
Gee. And you say he's young at heart and looks young too.
You would never believe it. This man looks like he's in his 50s. You watch. I'm going to send you pictures from us on the yacht next week. You're going to freak out.
My goodness. Well, everybody knows you. Everybody loves you. Everybody has something nice to say about you because people can see you now. You're pleasant. You're comfortable. And you reel them in just with that incredible personality of yours. But at the end of it all, there's real results, are there not?
Absolutely, Henry. Absolutely. I don't ever want to burden anybody. I don't ever want to feel like I'm a victim or pretend or make anybody feel sorry for me. That's just not who I am. And so I don't necessarily burden people with how hard I'm working behind the scenes. My mom, for many, many years, and I love my mom and she's worked for me for many years, but she's never really seen what I do on a day-to-day business. And so one year I needed a transaction manager to help me kind of work through my real estate part of my companies, right? And within the first month, and this is a lady who's worked her whole life for the state as a secretary, doing all these hard things. She looked at me and she shook her hand. She goes, I had no idea. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about, Mom? She goes, I thought you just made a lot of money by going to Starbucks every day. I didn't realize how hard you work every single day, because I don't want to complain. I don't want people to sit back and, oh, Henry, it's so hard. I got to work every day and I got to talk to people and send out market analysis and go check on job sites and talk to subcontractors, and clients are so difficult now. It's gross even making fun of that. I don't even like saying that because it's such negative energy that's being put out there, and that brings your soul down and you start losing the ability to appreciate. And then before you know it, you're just kind of you just don't have anything inside you. So yeah, all that's true. We work hard. There's challenges in life. There's people that need a little more attention. There's people that need less. There's things that need to be done, and you do it. That's it. No complaints. You just do it, and you do it consistently every day. And then every time you see an opportunity to make somebody smile, or you have an opportunity to help somebody, or you help somebody to empower them with some kind of knowledge that they don't know, and make them feel empowered with some of your specialty and expertise, then you get those little wins. Those little wins build upon themselves. And before you know it, you're fired up. And when you meet Henry T, you're excited because he's a rock star, a historian of New Mexico sports, and you're just have all this energy. It needs to come out, and then life's good. And I just think that's the right way to live, boss. So That's a little insight on me.
Well, that's a bunch, and it's exciting too, and it's contagious. And ladies and gentlemen, you're getting a lot. I'm getting a lot, and a lot of him that, like osmosis, we're going to catch on by just visualizing and seeing the big picture as John does every single day. It's contagious. We're going to grab it, and then the prosperity in our life will become bigger and larger and more enjoyable. And we too will venture out and do some of the exciting things that John and his friends do as well. I have John on today for a purpose, so we can have that visionary look as he does. Man, he is a visionary individual, one of the few at that magnitude that I've known. And I want to observe more of John Lopez so I can grow and have the same kind of enjoyment every day and prosperity someday as John and his friends are living right now. You know, he was a great athlete back in the day. And then through the guidance of his mom and dad, they said, hey, we got to get to work. And mom and dad need help. And he was right there. What can I do for you? He went to work to make sure mom and dad could put food on the table and make their life better. And now mom's working for him and he's making her life better every single day. What does mama think about her Hito being so successful?
I love my mama. She is just I have to say I wouldn't even be close to the level of success that I'm at if it wasn't for my mom. You know, to have that person that you can just trust, that person that sits in that inner circle that you just don't have to overlook, double check, follow up or sneak upon. You just know she's going to get it done. She's going to help you and she only wants the best for you. And having somebody like that, that's invaluable. You cannot put a price on that. And she's been that way with me for 20 years now. And I think that's a huge part of my success because that's a whole sector of my industry and my company I don't have to worry about. And I think she's super proud. I lost my dad last year. I think I remember I told you to COVID. And, when I leave the house every day of my life, I want to make my family proud. I try my best to make my family proud. Nobody's perfect and everybody makes mistakes, but that is always what fuels me to try to go to that next level in whatever I'm doing. And even when I drop off my kids in the morning, I say, I love you. Go make your family proud. Go represent your family. Because not only are we representing our family, we're representing our community, we're representing God, every action, everything we do. And so with that kind of incentive, it just helps you motivate you to just push a little harder, make a few more phone calls, help somebody in need a little bit more. And I think those are the things my mom just thinks is unbelievable. Sometimes she says, you got to stop. You try to help too many people. I'm like, stop it. I'm not helping anybody. It's just creating win-wins for everybody. And she goes, you know what? I'm proud of you, son. So I love that. It's a good thing.
Well, you know, what's the other thing I was going to mention is you're not afraid to share with people that you're a godly man, that you depend on your faith to carry a lot of the load here. You know who's really behind you.
Oh, absolutely. Being a father of six, if I can just instill in them that God is always there for them, then that'll take the weight off their shoulders, the weight of the world off your shoulders. Because, no matter what challenge you get in life, knowing God's going to be there to help you, then all you have to do is look for the little wins in those challenges. You learn from them, you correct, you maneuver, and then you walk away saying, well, I'm not going to do that one again, but I'm going to do it this way next time. Don't allow yourself to ever be a victim. And you can do that when you just know there's a great plan out there and God's always got you. And, I don't mean to push it too much on anybody. It's just that's how I live. And that gives me the peace to do what I do. And if I lost it all tomorrow, it's okay because I still got God, I still got my kids, and then we start over, go back to work early in the morning.
Wow. You know, not long ago, you ventured into the world of sports,
Yes, sir.
professional sports. You became a partner in the Gladiators. Wow. I went out there and watched this exciting game. I look and I said, man, John's a part of the show. And then people say, yeah, he's the owner of the team. What was that experience like? Challenging, no less.
Wow, when that opportunity came in front of me, it's funny because it started off, and this is the truth, Henry T, with me wanting to help this idea of professional arena football. And I was willing to go ahead and buy a banner with John Lopez Real Estate to show my support for a community event that'll get families together. Well, by the time I was done having a conversation with the coach and with the one who was starting to start it, his name was Matt Kayward. It's Matt Kayward. I owned half the team. And I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? I had no idea that I was going to be a part and play the role that I ended up playing for 4 years. And within the first year or so, I ended up becoming the majority owner of this professional arena sports that that platform was such a blessing. I got to meet so many amazing people. I got to travel, the nation representing New Mexico with my team. I got to take my kids with me. They got to, sit down on the floor and of every arena from Dallas to, Colorado to Arizona. And it was just one of the most amazing 4 years of my life. We won the first team professional sports game championship in New Mexico. We're honored with an honorary Purple Heart because of the work we did with the military. And, we even got our own Duke City Gladiator Day that the mayor dedicated to us. And I even got the mayor to play for me in one expedition game, when he became mayor, Tim Keller. So being a part of such an amazing platform really was such a blessing. And I wouldn't change one day of it for the life of me.
Wow. What do you think of our city right now, our state? As real estate is in demand, the economy is such and such. We don't know it as well as you. How would you describe the opportunities there for the buyer or the seller? What's the big picture, John?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because now this is really where I'm going to fire you up. Let's start off with thinking New Mexico is the fifth largest state in the nation. People forget about that. We're the fifth largest state in the nation, and our major metropolitan area only has 685,000 people. So you're looking at a lot of space and a little amounts of people. What do most people complain about in New York, in California, and all these big cities? The congestion, how crowded it is, how busy it is, and we don't have that. So the first thing is we got opportunity for growth, okay? Secondly, these last few years, we've seen some we've never seen historically. We've seen some major companies plant some big seeds in our soil here. It started in 2017 when Facebook showed up. When Facebook got here, you have those naysayers, oh, it's only 8,000 jobs, oh, it's only this, it's only that. But I think they forgot the most important thing. Facebook is the largest, most recognized global brand, and they made home here and out in New Mexico. Once they did that, they told the rest of the world, hey, New Mexico's open for business. New Mexico is ready for this level of company to set foot in here. We believe in New Mexico, so we're planning our company in New Mexico. Within 2 years, you know what happened, Henry T? In 2 years, it was in 2019 was the first year in 10 years we had a net population increase. Up until 2019, we were losing people. They were leaving, which hurts our economy, which hurts our taxes, which hurts our schools, which hurts our police. It was a sad thing to see that happening as a real estate professional. I would take my daughter on these listing appointments so she could get a taste of, what business was like and what dad does. And I remember listing a house for a doctor who took a job in Texas. And after the listing presentation, my daughter looked up at me and said, Dad, does this mean we're going to lose all our good doctors? And it broke my heart because we were losing good doctors. We were losing people. And, when Facebook did that, they turned it around. We got Netflix that came in. We got Amazon that came in. We got NBC that came in. We got so many companies starting to come in that even Intel, who had been shrinking every single year for the last 20 years, decided to turn around and reinvest $3.2 billion with a B, Henry T, $1 billion back into our community, into our state. And we are turning it around. So right now, New Mexico is where Phoenix was in 1978 before they shot up and became what Phoenix is. People need to understand we're about to explode in ways we've never seen before. So that's directly going to affect us here, our people here, our schools, our police force, all the things that we need to do for growth, safety, and security for us and our future. And it's going to be a wild ride, Henry. No matter what's going on with the economy, the worse the economy gets, the more they're going to want to move here. The better the economy gets, the quicker they're going to want to sell where they're at and move here. We have the best, or arguably the best weather across the nation. Our people are beautiful and funny and caring. Red or green chili, come on, what more do we have to say? And now we're going to have the jobs. Henry T, if I was a betting man, I'd bet on New Mexico, boss.
What a positive attitude. So right now, before our eyes, and we're not looking, it's passing behind us, Albuquerque, New Mexico overall is growing again.
Yes, sir. And it's beautiful. It's hard to see it when you're in the trenches. So I'm doing my best to kind of speak where I can, the Henry T Show, different seminars, events, past president of our association here in Albuquerque. I'm going to be running for president of the New Mexico Association of Realtors next year, trying to be vocal because I want everybody to see what's happening. Because sometimes you kind of get lost in the day-to-day activity, going to work, going to school, just trying to survive. But I want people to see that there is some changes, real changes, not just some politician out there saying, I'm going to make things different. I ain't a politician. I'm a hard worker like everybody else out here, doing my part in my industry. And I see it happening from the data. It's not even my opinion. Everything I'm saying is coming from the data and what's going on, and people are seeing this and it's happening. So the more people that start seeing that, the more optimistic they get, the more exciting it's going to become for all of us and our kids. In the next 10 years, Henry T, we're going to see a whole different New Mexico, and the world's going to see it too.
Wow. What's your advice to couples who are a little stagnant right now with their finances? They're smart people. They just don't see the big picture like you, nor do they see how to get started and reaching for a catalyst to get their explosive world, their prosperity happening again. What's your advice to them with all of the growth around us?
We got to eliminate 4 letters. 4 letters is all they got to do, and they're going to see doors open up. FEAR, fear. We can't be afraid, Henry T. We've got to trust in God. That's where spirituality comes in. We got to understand that if we do our homework, we can't be afraid. It's okay. We can move forward. You would be surprised how many people call me to list their house, and I tell them no. And they look at me and they're like, well, that's how you make your money. And I go, no, I don't make my money by selling your house. That commission will cover a month worth of mortgages and food for the kids. I go, but where I make my money is empowering you so you tell the world that I'm here to help. And that's how I make my money. Well, if I don't sell it, what do I do? Well, let's turn that into an investment property. Let's see, we have a high demand with this population growth going in there. We could sell it. You get that money. That's one option. And if we feel as a team, that's what we got to do, we'll do it. But if we can put a renter in there and you're making $600, $700, $800 a month positive cash flow, and we can go buy another home that you can move in for your family because your family's growing or shrinking or whatever the reason is. Now, what we did is we just doubled your net worth. Now you own two real estate properties that are going to grow between 5 to 7%, plus give you tax benefits. Plus, you're going to have renters paying off this mortgage that you borrowed, and we're going to get you where you want to be. Let's not worry so much about fear. Let's empower ourselves. So no longer are we afraid. Now we're actually doing calculated investments where we can grow. And over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we're really going to see a return on investment. And this is why, because Albuquerque is growing, New Mexico is growing. We have a shortage in housing. We have a shortage in rental properties. We have people who can't buy but don't want to live in apartments. Your home's going to help fill that void. You're doing a win by helping this family who has 2 kids and a dog, and they don't want to live in the apartment, but you're going to be able to provide housing for somebody. I mean, there's so many wonderful conversations. That way you don't have to be afraid, because it is scary if you don't know. When we were a kid, do you remember going into a dark room and being a little afraid? And the second you turned that light switch on, the fear went away because you could see that there's nothing to be afraid of. That's what we do by educating them and empowering them. Once they have all the information, that fear goes away and we can help them grow. We can help them move forward. We can help them prosper in this opportunity that doesn't come along every time, Henry T.
Well, you switched the light on in my life right now, so I'm not afraid anymore. And
I
I'm
love
sure
it.
many people who are watching you on this show right now, there's a light that just went on in their room, in their world. And now that new ambition is setting into mom and dad and the children too. And they're saying, wow, we can do that too. Let's watch John closer. Maybe he is teaching a class somewhere, or he's got a consultant that is teaching somewhere soon, and we can go learn more. Is that sort of education available to us to learn more so we can take off that strip like an airplane and start our trajectory up? Is there a place to go for us to learn?
Absolutely, Henry T. The first line is you just call me, Google me, Facebook me, Instagram me, Twitter me, follow me on TikTok. There's so many opportunities where I do put messages out there, different messages, daily quotes, trying for inspire people. That's the first thing. Or you just call me and say, John, are you available for an hour? And I'll definitely squeeze you in. And that is usually the best way. Now, I do a lot of different public speaking events. I'll come on shows like yours. I just did the 0 to a Million last weekend at the convention center, which was just an amazing event. We had a lot of different speakers, including myself. So if you're following me on Instagram, and the Instagram is $1 Million John, you'll find me right away, or John Lopez Real Estate on Facebook. I can keep the whole community up to date with different events and opportunities. But again, I'm at that point where I love face-to-face. If somebody's really wanting to learn, and it doesn't mean you got to feel like you're coming in to buy a house or sell a house. You just want to have a conversation about prosperity. Because Henry T said, call John Lopez. You call me, you message me, you text me, you'll be in my office. We'll sit down and we'll put a plan together, because that's what the job's all about, Henry. Helping as many people as we can.
Wow. How exciting. Man, you're my head coach. You just inspired me that there's a whole lot of living left, and there's a whole lot of mileage left in Henry T to keep progressing. I don't want to quit. I want to keep growing.
I love it, Henry T. I'm ready to put you in. I'm telling you, we'll get you fired up. We'll get you going. And now we'll have another success story like Henry T, baby.
What is it that you really want to say to our audience today about growth, their future, their children, love, whatever it might be that's on your heart today that you want to share with us?
I think it's 3 points. One, find your motivation. Stop looking for excuses. Find your motivation. What fires you up? Stop looking for why things have not happened the way your neighbor, your friend, your cousin, your brother, your mom, your dad, and how it happened to them. Look for some motivation. You find that motivation, and that's the first step, because every day you can focus on that motivation. Second, balance, Henry. Got to have balance. Everything comes at a cost. And if you work too much, it's going to come at a cost with your family and your friends. If you go to the gym too much, it's going to come out of a cost out of your family and your friends and your work. Everything has a cost. But if you can balance life, then before you know it, all ships rise with rising waters. If you're healthy, that means your mind's clear. Your mind's clear. It means you're able to motivate and focus. If you're focused and you believe in God and you have spirituality, then you can trust that whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and you work through it because you've got somebody who always has your back. So balance is super, super important. And consistency, boss. Every day is another day to work. It's not like, I'm just going to stay in bed today. I'm going to look at social media all day today. Get up, put on your suit, put on your tie, put on your polo, represent your family, represent who you are. Get out there and do something, and do it every day. If you're in sales, great. If it's your job, great. If whatever it is, just do it every day. If you're consistent, you will see results. You follow those 3 rules, Henry T, we'll be fine. We'll be just fine.
There are people right now they're tired of debt. Debt has pulled them down to where it depresses them. Every time they turn around, there's that bill again. And maybe they've pressed at it so long, they can see the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. And soon they're going to be out of that nagging debt. Then they're going to have that freedom. And they're going to say, wow, we're out of that debt now. But now we want to grow and do what John Lopez is doing. Let's watch him. What do we do next? What do they do next once they get away from that nagging debt?
Well, I love that you said the D word, because man, that's like a cancer. That's like a virus, man. Debt is just going to kill you. And you know where debt comes from, Henry T? Debt comes from depression and sadness, and you're trying to fill that void with what you're using that debt for. If it's a car that maybe you shouldn't buy because it's a little too expensive, or the jewelry, or the clothes. Too many times we get caught up on spending stuff that we think it's going to fill a void because of a sadness. That's why the balance is so important. Once you get rid of that debt, then at that point you find that professional. There's so many wonderful, smart real estate professionals in this town. So many smart financial advisors in this town. Find somebody you can build a relationship with, and you just start one step at a time. You call them, you go have coffee with them, you start building a plan together. It doesn't happen overnight. Everything takes time. But if you're willing to put in the work and be consistent, once you get that momentum, you'd be surprised. Before you know it, you blink an eye, you got 1, you got 2, you got 3 houses. Before you know it, the first house is getting paid off by the renters. Before you know it, you're getting positive cash flow every month. A lot of positive things happen, but we've got to get our mind straight. We've got to be able to understand where we are, so that way we can grow up.
Wow, what great advice. What an honor to finally capture you and put you in the same visual that I'm in right now, and have you in your office and me in my studio. And finally we meet right here, and now our conversation is being shared with thousands of people. Now, this audience, this undivided attention that you have right now with all of these people, do you want them to call you? Do you advise me to tell them to reach out and go to your website? What do we do now?
Absolutely. I'd love for them to call me, and everybody's welcome to call me. But there's so many wonderful professionals out there. Our real estate community is beautiful, and they're smart and they're educated. And if they have somebody there, and they already know them and have a relationship, have some more conversations about growing your financial future. Even if that realtor is still someone new, maybe together you guys can figure it out together and grow together, help them grow while you're growing. But the key here is you got to find somebody you trust, and then you can grow together as a team, because that's really how you're going to start making some positive moves in your financial future. Absolutely call me. But I am happy to have their realtor call me. Mr. and Mrs. Martinez work with Bobby J, who's working at, ABC Realty. And they sit back and say, hey, Bobby, you're our guy. We love you and we trust you. But John had some great things to say. Is there any way you'd be open to call John and maybe have a discussion? That way together we can help out. And guess who's going to answer that phone call? I'm going to answer that phone call. Because if I can help that realtor just a little bit more to help his clients a little bit more, then that makes all of us better. So the point is that there are a lot of professionals in town. Call them, build your relationship, ask questions, do your research. There's so much information online, and of course, you can always call me. You can call me directly. You can have your realtor call me. I'm here just as a source for anybody who needs it. And you know what? It's really my pleasure to be able to empower people. That is such a high for me. I get so excited to try to make a difference in this world. And that's one of many different ways that I try.
Give us the number and recite it slowly. And then in time, we'll put the number on the screen. But how, in fact, do we get a hold of you?
Best way, you can call me at 505-991-3386. It's 505-991-3386. You can Google John Lopez Real Estate and you'll find me on the page, or social media. It's always a good avenue. You can follow me on Facebook at John Lopez Real Estate. Follow me on Instagram at $1 Million John, or go to TikTok and put in $1 Million John and see me be a little silly on TikTok, but sometimes informative as well.
Well, how has social media assisted you? How can social media assist us if we do it correctly?
I think the key word there is correctly, Henry T. Correctly. Social media has helped me reach a broader band of people that used to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to do so. It's really streamlined marketing possibilities at a cost-efficient price. I can go on Facebook and, put out a quick little tidbit of this conversation we're having and inspire people, and it'll go out to 5,000 people in 2 seconds. Or I can go to my Instagram account and put a reel up there of some kind of educational piece, and it's going to reach 40,000 people. I can put it on TikTok and it's going to reach 10,000 people. So it just gives me the ability to be able to market out there and have people help people in the masses without paying for the newspaper, or the radio. And I still do the newspaper because there's some people who don't do social media. I still do the radio because there's some people who love, the radio. I do everything I can to try to reach as many people as I can, but it really does make a difference on how you reach and who you reach. This young generation right now, a lot of them aren't being, hands-on with a mentor the way they should. So if I can touch them and empower them a little bit on social media and fire them up about opportunities, if they're 20 years old, 25 years old, they're in college, about buying a house when they're out or while they're even in college, then, it's worth going on those social media avenues and really trying to see what we can do for the public.
Wow. If we follow your guide with all your principles and stay close to what you've been successful with, can some of what you're sharing with us rub off on us so we too can be successful as well?
That's the whole point, Henry T. That's the whole point. The more people we can help navigate through this very complicated investment and scary world and make it a little easier and get rid of the fear, then yes, all of us are going to be successful together, and we're all going to grow together, and we're all going to be happy together. That's really the goal, boss.
Wow. One of these days we'll be on that yacht with you.
Well, you got to remember, as great as I make it sound, I'm on somebody else's yacht. Someday I want to have my own yacht.
Well, what a pleasure it's been. I will never forget, ladies and gentlemen. I first met John many years ago. I just opened a little tiny radio station. Radio Disney was our format. And I met John and we got together, and he was selling homes left and right then as a very young man. But today, I don't know how you do it, but you're younger today than you did then. I want to know that secret, but I'll never forget the beginning days of our relationship. You were fired up and you really impressed me.
I love it, man. I'll never forget those days. Meeting you. I remember going home to my mom saying, "Guess who I met?" She goes, "Who?" I go, "Henry Tafoya. On all the high school football. He's on the radio. Now he has his kid radio Disney station. He's going to do a live broadcast from the model home on this weekend. We're going to have a jumper, and Henry T's coming out." It's like, we made it. And this is the beginning of my career 25 years ago. I was thinking, wow, Henry T's here. I made it. How cool is that? That's the kind of impression you've made in this community and to many people, Henry T. And I appreciate you.
God bless you, John. If there's something more, let it out of the bag. But all I can say is thank you. God bless you. And just so proud of you. But even a step further, I just want to say a genuine thank you for you to remotivate and inspire Henry T. There's a whole lot of mileage left in my bag because of today's inspirational speech by you. Thank you for that.
Anytime, Henry T. Just get up every morning, thank God, make some magic, help someone, and go to bed, wake up, and do it again. Sound like a plan?
I've got the plan, buddy. Take care, all right?
Thank you, boss. Talk to you soon, sir.
See you soon. John Lopez, realtor, entrepreneur, friend, athlete, you name it, consultant, and just a friendly guy who gives a lot of credit to his parents for that inspiration, that love, some of it tough love that made him who he is today. What a great, humble, inspiring story. And then his mom still working for him to this day. How great does a story get? You should write a book, John. How about that?
Well, it's in the works, Henry T. It's in the works.
Or a motion picture. Something. Thank you again. God bless you, John. We'll see you real soon.
Take care, Henry T. See you real soon.
All right, man.